what if you? It's obviously it's nuanced and it depends what type of engagement, how you're pursuing that engagement. But just at a very basic level, how would you kind of describe the key differences between a people-based time and materials engagement and a statement of work engagement, as you see it?
So, I mean, this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of it, isn't it? And then you kind of look at the definitions that fly around everywhere, and everyone is slightly different in their approach. So I think it probably helps if I just clarify some of the wordings that I use, because then it helps going through it. And if you don't agree with any of them, tell me. But so when we're talking around statement of work, we are talking about the document, the statement of work contract that we have that usually supports your master services agreement. Whereas some people might say, we're a statement of work business, or we're working, they use the words interchangeably, and then everyone's confused. So I kind of, when I'm talking about statement of work, I'm talking about the document that usually falls under the master services agreement, which is the big chunky document that goes with it. But then you have the company that's offering the services. So a lot of the time that we're calling them the consultancy, they're offering the services. That sometimes gets confusing because we used to call PSCs consultancies.
And sometimes recruitment companies are called recruitment consultancies. So it just gets even more confusing.
It is, and that's why I always like to try and clarify how I'm going to talk about it, so it's clearer. And then you've got contracted out services, and I feel like that's a really important one when we're referring to it, because that's what HMRC call them. So although people don't usually like the definitions, it's really helpful if you're ever looking at HMRC guidance, which is really important if you're looking at this model because of IR35 maybe, that you understand what HMRC say about it. And to be fair, contracted out services kind of sums up what it is, doesn't it? We're, like you said, it's not your time and materials, your standard recruitment way of working. It is much more project-based, deliverables, milestones. So it's quite easy to separate them when you really think about it. It is clear when you're going, okay, this service is being contracted out to a company, therefore client is not controlling it. So we always talk around supervision, direction and control. This time we're saying the client is not controlling that services. They have used an outsourced provider, a consultancy, or whatever we're going to call it, to come and deliver those specialist services. So it's very different to a standard recruiter that is going, okay, we've got a role to fill. We're filling a role. We're going to use X limited company to fill that specific role. It's not that. It's much more, we're providing a service, entirely different business model from traditional recruitment, which then leads to the financial risk that we're talking about, higher insurance premiums. So it comes with that added risk. But I don't know what you think, it also usually comes with the added benefit that you do get paid quite a bit more. The margins are usually higher in that world. So it's kind of weighing up the risks against the margins that you might be getting paid.